So today is day 28 of the travel vlog. Wow, it's flying by. And today we're going to talk about Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
And did you know that by the time we get to Vietnam on our 12 months travelling adventure, we will be roughly 5 months into our journey?
Wow.
So we are talking about 5 months
Yeah.
into our journey.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it just made me think earlier, wow, this is going to be, we would have already been on the road for 5 months at this point.
Yeah.
Which is, exciting and a little bit scary at the same time.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Vietnam. I'm hearing good things about Vietnam.
I am so looking forward to
It's
Vietnam.
like the new Thailand, apparently.
And no, I've heard that it's better than Thailand.
Well, so have I, actually.
Yeah.
But I think from years ago when Thailand was uncluttered, shall we say, with us tourists.
Yes, it is a shame because it is, it's just commercialised now. It's like so many other beautiful destinations.
Says the people who turn up to clutter it.
Exactly. So yeah, we should smack ourselves on the hands for that. But so Vietnam apparently, as we've been told by other people, is the unspoilt Thailand. It's very similar,
yes,
but less commercialised. So, but I don't know if it's going to be any less chaotic. Looking at our notes
Debbie's done her research again. I don't know what we would do without Debbie's research.
Oh, but it's so helpful. And we are planning on spending 3 months in Vietnam.
Yes.
Which would be really lovely. To have an extended stay there.
Because we'll be able to get, maybe if there's a few areas we need to visit that are quite a distance from each other, we can have a long-term rental.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping. Our research has picked up 3 main areas, so it's looking ideal. Again. It's looking ideal, and hopefully we could do a month in each area. So, but we'll see how we get on. I'll pop my glasses on again so I can read. So where's it saying?
Things to do in Vietnam for 3 months. So northern Vietnam, Hanoi, is that Hanoi?
Hanoi is the capital.
Oh right, okay. So it's an old quarter.
Yeah, so apparently there's a place called the Old Quarter in Hanoi, and that is being described as a vibrant, chaotic, and deeply atmospheric urban life.
It's probably a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to spend too much time there, but it'd be a lot of fun once it's there.
And I think Hanoi is the place where I've seen online videos of people stood in quite a small street where there's a tram or a train looking vehicle.
Oh, is it?
And they stood back against the wall.
Isn't it?
As it goes past.
Because I've seen one where they're actually eating and there's a train.
Oh, I don't know. Well, it could possibly...
Unless it's another country.
No, it could possibly be either or. But maybe not at all. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been to Hanoi? And have you ever seen this... vehicle, whatever it is? I don't know if it's a train or a bus or whatever, but I've got a feeling it might be.
Train sounds more like
a tram, maybe. Yeah. Also, there's a Hoi An lake in Hanoi, which is really nice to have a walk around. And again, really good for street food.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Always love some food, especially Vietnamese food. In the UK recently, we've started to see some Vietnamese restaurants opening up, and I have to say in our local
area.
Well, it's a city. We live quite near to a city, and it's my favourite restaurant to go to at the moment. I've been there for lunch today with my daughter, so I know I'm going to really enjoy the Vietnamese food if it's anything like the restaurants.
Happy days.
That I've experienced so far.
Yeah, how you explained it to me, it sounded lovely.
Yes, and much of it is gluten free, which being celiac obviously is perfect for me. So
next is Ha Long Bay.
Yeah.
Overnight cruise among limestone. Is that
casts?
What does that mean?
Can you picture what these are?
No.
I had to look them up, and it's basically in the sea. Have you ever seen these like landscape where it looks like they've just come out of of the water.
Yes.
And there's quite a few next to each other. Well, basically,
is that a bit like the James Bond thing?
Yes, it's exactly that.
Okay.
And this is obviously an overnight cruise that you can do to go and see these limestone
that'd be cool.
casts. And they're actually, even though they look like they've just come out of the sea, it was all one landscape many, many years ago. And it was the limestone that's been washed away by rainstorms, I believe, throughout the centuries, that's now created that landscape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
But it is a cool landscape. So I would really like to do the overnight cruise. And I think it does talk...
Well, that's handy, because I quite fancy that.
And he does talk about it a bit later on, actually, with the prices as well. So we'll come on to that.
Excellent. So the next one is Ninh Binh.
Ninh Binh.
Ninh Binh.
Ninh Binh.
An area of natural beauty. Boat rides in Tam... Is that?
Tam Cock.
Cock, right, okay. And countryside motorbike loops. Okay. Boat rides sound good. Countryside motorbike loops, we'll have to find out, because what does it mean?
It sounds a bit dangerous to me.
Then we've got Sapa,
which is a town in the mountains.
Now that would be quite cool.
No, read the next bit.
Oh, trekking. Yeah, trekking. See, it's not us.
Well, not only that, it says trekking among rice terraces and hill tribes. Now, Patrick and I have just been to see our travel nurse for vaccinations.
Very true.
And everything to do with health. And she mentioned particularly
mosquitoes. Trekking through rice terraces.
The mosquitoes that are hanging around those environments are exceptionally dangerous.
Yeah.
So that is why I look at that and go, oh, maybe not.
Yeah. No, it's very true. Why put yourself in danger unless you know any different? This is our nurse that's told us, because we've just been off to inquire what jabs we do need and what jabs we don't. So do drop your opinions in the descriptions below. Not descriptions, comments.
In the comments below.
In the comments below, because we'd love to hear them.
Yes, and if you can help us out, if you've got any tips for us to be able to go to and experience these kinds of things without the fear of,
being bitten alive.
Yeah. And the last recommendation for the northern Vietnam is Ha Giang Loop. Ha Giang Loop. Is that how you say it?
It sounds good to me.
Again, probably not something that I'd be interested in, because it's epic motorbike journey through rugged mountains and winding roads.
See, I would love that.
I know you would.
I would, but yeah, I get why you wouldn't be interested. To me, that's a biker's dream.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a biker. I've had motorbikes when I was a young man, but yes, I could see that as a lot of fun for a gang of lads or a motorcycle club. Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet it's spectacular views. I bet it is. It's amazing scenery. Just not one for me, I don't think.
No, and I get that.
So then we move on to central Vietnam. And another interesting thing to mention, which we might come on to later, is the different climates in all of these places, because they are quite far apart. So they have different climates. So we'll need to consider that as well in our itinerary.
Yeah. So different times of the year and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So central Vietnam, Phong Nha is the first recommendation, and they have amazing cave systems there. Oh. Again, I think from
the war.
No, from the downpours of rain, and they've just been formed these caves. These massive caves. Yeah. And I think it's quite well renowned there for the massive cave systems. Cool. They carved out for millions of years of flooding. Yeah.
Yes, that'd be quite interesting. Yeah, definitely worth a look. So where's next?
Then Hue.
Who? Who's City?
Hue is how it's spelled. And again, that's a city, and it's an at that city is the Imperial Citadel and the Royal Tombs.
Oh, you've got
so I think it's quite historical there.
Yeah, you've got to go there then.
Yeah, that's a must see, I think. Which I think we'd both enjoy that.
Yes.
Then we've got Da Nang.
Da Nang.
Da Nang, which is another city, but that is on the coast.
So
it's
beaches.
a city on the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got beaches and marble mountains.
Wow.
They sound intriguing.
Wow.
Marble mountains. I couldn't find out much about them, so I'm intrigued to find out maybe when we get there.
And it says it's a modern city. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
See how the culture
see how it's
is in that
changed
area.
and see how it's changed and evolved over the years.
Yeah.
Then in central still is Hoi An, which is another city, but it's an ancient town. I like the sound of that.
Yes. Lanterns.
And they've got lanterns, tailor shops.
Oh, tailors might be like Bangkok.
Yes. And cooking classes.
Excellent.
It's quite common there. So
we've got to do a cooking class.
Definitely. In Vietnam, of all places.
Yeah. Well, even if we can do, if it's not a massive thing, just a day cooking class in each area we go.
Exactly, or even just a couple of hours, you know, just to learn the basics.
Yeah.
So, but I quite like the sound of that, the ancient town. I really like the idea of that. And then the last one in central Vietnam.
My son.
And it's literally as you spell it in the UK, MYSON.
Yeah, my son.
And actually,
it means
beautiful mountain.
Yeah.
Because I looked that up extra.
That's cool.
I found that out because I thought, what an unusual name for a place.
Yeah.
Why is it called that? And it's because it's called a beautiful mountain. So I'm presuming there's a beautiful mountain there. And there's also Cham ruins. So there's some ruins that you can go and see.
We do like a good old ruin. We always come across them.
So that's central Vietnam. So I think that's a nice amount to do for a month.
Yeah.
If we're going to spend a month there. Then we go on to
southern Vietnam. So that's, what's that? You better pronounce that, Deb, because my reading isn't great anyway.
Ho Chi Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh City, which is Saigon. And that is considered the second capital.
So that's Saigon.
Saigon. But that's not actually the capital, obviously, because Hanoi is the capital, but it is considered the second capital.
Yeah.
And the best for markets, war history museums, and nightlife.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to going to Saigon.
Yeah, same as. Sounds good.
I'm intrigued to see what Saigon has to offer.
Yeah.
Another place in South Vietnam is Mekong Delta, and that is floating markets. Now, I've seen that on the TV. I've seen it on films.
Yeah. So, being a floating market, do we go around on a boat?
I have no idea.
Yeah, put or something like that.
I have no idea.
No, put's one of those motorised
Tuk-tuk, yeah. But yeah, it's this floating markets, and that's a definite for me. I have to experience that, because how often would you come across that? And then it says local homestays, so maybe people rent out their parts of their home for travellers.
Yeah.
So
that won't be for us, though.
No, I doubt we'll do that, but it's still nice for you to know that.
Yeah.
And it's also known for its unique rice cultivation tradition and farming practices.
Hence the market.
Maybe, yeah. So the next one, this is going to be hard to pronounce. Phu Quoc Island, well developed. It's got beaches, snorkeling, hotels and activities. And half of the island is a UNESCO heritage site.
Wow.
And it also has a nice cable car ride there.
Oh, it's sounding intriguing already, because we do like a good view.
We do. And it sounds quite developed,
Yeah.
Obviously, I would imagine there'd be quite a lot of nice bars and restaurants.
That should be fun there.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Then there's Mu Ni, a coastal resort with hotels, restaurants, etc. And it's also got sand dunes, and it's well known for kite surfing. Can you do a bit of kite surfing?
I doubt if I could, if I tried.
I definitely couldn't. And the final destination in southern Vietnam is Da Lat. And this is a big city, and it's centred around a lake and a golf course, which sounds quite nice, and then surrounded by hills, pine forests, lakes and waterfalls.
Sounds lovely.
It all sounds lovely for Vietnam, I have to say, and I am so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then it's given us a suggested rough 3-month route, which is really handy. So it is saying, recommending we do North Vietnam first, Central Vietnam, and then Southern Vietnam.
Yes.
But I've looked at the climate.
Okay.
And I believe it would be better to do it the other way around. I think we'd be better off starting in the south, because it's hotter in the south.
Right.
And then go to central as it's warming up, and then north as it's warming up for that
so
third
the climate
one.
changes, yeah.
Yeah, because in the north, at the beginning of this part of the trip for us, it would be quite cold. It would be like 19 degrees.
Right.
Whereas if you wait that couple of months and put it on the end, it'll be in the 20s.
Sweet. That's the way to go then.
Yeah. So I think we'll just flip that.
Yeah, it makes sense. So
now on to things to consider.
Things to consider for a 3-month stay. Well, visas. UK citizens can get 45-day visa free as of 2024. But for 3 months, you'll need to apply for an e-visa, which is 90 days. But that's ahead of time. But I believe that's going to be kind of the norm around these areas going forward.
I think so.
Is that it will be e-visas. I think there's a lot of digital stuff going on, isn't there?
Definitely.
So I would always, speak to someone at the visa place and
check the official Vietnam portal.
Yeah, check what it is. Always check the latest rules on official Vietnam e-visa portal,
Yeah. So obviously we'll be applying for the 90-day visa. And again, we're on to the weather, like I mentioned.
So we might as well explain to you what the weather is. It's north is cool, dry between November and March, and it's hot and rainy May to August. Then central is dry February to August and rainy September to January. And then the south is dry November to April and rainy May to October. So obviously you need to plan around those times.
And it's suggesting to pack layers and plan flexibly around the weather.
Yes.
So I think the weather can
play
a big part.
I think it's going to be a massive decision to work with the weather.
Yeah. But what I mean is, once we're there, I think it can be a bit unpredictable, shall we say. So I think that's what that's saying is, you need to be quite flexible, and we might have to change plans, that's fine, we'll do that.
And that's the great thing about freedom lifestyle. And slow travel is that's what it's all about. You can change plans. You haven't got to fit everything in a week or a fortnight. Yeah. So that's what we're really looking forward to, is to have that flexibility to be able to move around and do what we want.
Definitely.
Yeah. And if you want to, if you like the idea of joining us on our journey, do subscribe. And any comments you've got, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, we're not finished yet though.
We're working on it.
On to transport. So transport in Vietnam, apparently they have an excellent bus and train service.
Excellent.
Along the coast. So
Hanoi to Saigon.
For example, you can get from Hanoi to Saigon.
Hanoi, is it?
Yeah. Hanoi is the capital.
Yeah.
And then Saigon is the
second
capital.
Yeah.
There's also cheap domestic flights.
Wow.
And
I love that. Bamboo Airways.
Airways.
You've got to try that out, haven't you?
So they're recommending Bamboo Airways, Vietnam Airlines, and VietJet.
VietJet.
But it sounds like it's going to be quite reasonable to get around once you're in Vietnam.
Internally.
Which would be lovely. And then you could, if you wanted to, get a motorbike rental, because apparently it's quite easy for local exploring.
I love the idea of a motorbike or 4x4 or something and getting out there and really exploring.
Yeah, me too.
I love that, wherever we go.
Me too. And obviously you'd need an international licence for that, which we are in the process of sorting out.
Yes. Yeah, because that's something that I didn't even consider when we first started looking at this adventure, was that you would need an international driving licence. But some countries do ask for it, and it's difficult to hire getting yourself an international driving license. I think it's lasts 2 or 3 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll do a separate video on that once
Yeah.
we're partway through the process of sorting that out. So once we've done it and we know exactly the process and the price and everything, we'll do a separate video.
Yeah, because we're learning as we go.
Yes.
And obviously we're glad that we could pass it on to you. And obviously, if you've got any information for us, again, please, put it in the comments below.
So on to budget. Apparently, if you're a backpacker, you can get by on £20 to £30 a day.
Which is cool. That's including accommodation, I believe.
I believe that's including everything.
Yeah.
I think that's taking everything into account.
I mean, that's lovely, isn't it?
Yes, because it doesn't break it down and say, for your meals, that's what it'll be. I think that's the allowance for the day.
Yeah.
Mid-range is 40 to 60 a day.
Cool.
And there's lots of ATMs and they're easy to find, but always carry some cash.
Yeah, for rural areas, I think that's
sensible.
Good advice wherever you go, to always have a bit of cash in your back pocket, even if it's, as I used to call it when I lived in the Bronx in New York, mugging money.
I don't really want to think about that.
But you just hand your wallet over, it's a lot easier.
And then on to health. We touched briefly earlier on seeing our nurse today. But they say that there's no major vaccines required, but you should consider Hep A and B, typhoid and tetanus. And travel insurance is highly recommended. It doesn't go into detail why it's highly recommended. So,
I think what it is, I think as Brits, we think we've got the best healthcare, but we haven't anymore. Let's be honest about it. And to be honest, the stories I've heard from friends and family that have had to use private medical places abroad, it hasn't been too bad. And if anything, some of them have been a lot better than our service. Some have been a lot dearer because you've got to pay, and some are really cheap. So
what are you saying then? That you don't think you should have travel insurance?
No, I think you should. But the thing is, as we go along, we'll find these things out for you. We'll look into it. We'll because I do think that we do get. It's like you have to have all this, you have to have all that, and obviously keeping your costs down is really important when you're travelling, especially slowly. And if you don't need some stuff, you don't need it. I mean, for example, my mum had an accident in Spain a long time ago, and the treatment was second to none.
But she probably had insurance cover for that.
No, she didn't. It was on the NHS at the time, because in Europe at the time when she went, it was a long time
obviously
ago.
it won't be. In anywhere we're going, there'll be no NHS.
But what I'm saying is
healthcare.
that the healthcare was absolutely
I don't
excellent.
think this is referring to how, that it's bad healthcare. I think it's referring to the costs, probably.
Yeah.
So that's why they're recommending to have travel insurance, so that, you don't get caught out, I suppose.
And I suppose it's like with us in the UK, we don't have to consider that.
No, it's not on our thought process.
As a lot of other countries, people have that anyway.
Yeah, it's a standard. Yeah, well, especially in America.
So I think that's why it's it pops up for us Brits.
Tap water is not safe to drink, so use bottled or filtered water. And it does say that medical care is good in the cities.
Again, there might be a witch doctor somewhere that might be able to sort you out.
Is that the area of the world where you get witch doctors?
Well, if you go into the jungle, I'm sure there's one somewhere.
Oh. And then again onto culture and customs, and it says dress modestly for temples, as we've already discussed. Take off shoes before entering homes, that's expected. Always ask before taking photos of any locals. And a few Vietnamese phrases go a long way. So, even if you could just say hello and thank you.
Which makes sense, doesn't it? Because we all like that. We all like that, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah. Safety. Vietnam is safe, but you do have to be aware for bag snatching in big cities.
The same as any big city, let's be honest. I think if we went to any major city in the UK, you'd have to be aware of that now.
Yes. They do. We have been recommended to cross the road safely because they can be a bit chaotic. And
Stay confident.
Stay confident and steady. That's the advice for crossing the road.
Yes.
I mean, that scares me a bit.
it'll be all right.
And then the last thing is connectivity.
Yeah, SIM cards, cheap and widely available. We're going to get an eSIM, so we can change wherever we are. And that's just an electronic SIM card. It's an app, basically, rather than having to go and find a SIM card in each country. They're on about, is that Vietel is reliable, but we've already got one that we'll use. And it says there's good Wi-Fi in most cities and cafes. So good for the nomads.
Good. Yeah, good.
Anybody who needs to work, like we do. We need to get the laptop out and do some work.
Yes, I wonder what it'd be like though in out of the cities. So that would be interesting to see. That we might be frustrated maybe in some of the places. I hope not.
Who knows?
But we'll see.
Who knows?
And then we have got some summary highlights. And I probably mentioned briefly one or two things, but the Halong Bay cruise. Now that was the overnight cruise,
which we both really wanted to go on.
But what it says about that, I went a bit deeper with my research, and it says that it's a short, luxurious getaway among Vietnam's stunning limestone casts and emerald waters.
Oh, nice.
2 days, 5-star, gourmet dining, private balcony suites overlooking one of the most famous UNESCO sites. And the prices are from...
That's mad.
$160. And
we presume that's American dollars.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's American dollars.
That's mad.
If that is true, we'll definitely be going on that cruise. It sounds stunning.
Yeah.
And then it talks about the lantern lights in Hoi An.
Yeah, so which I quite fancy as well.
I really want to go and see the lantern lights, but they're not there all the time.
Oh, right.
So basically, it's a monthly event that takes place on the 14th day of the lunar month.
Yeah.
When the full moon is at its brightest. And you must check a lunar calendar before your visit, as the dates change each month.
That's right, because we're on a different calendar than the lunar.
Yeah, so calendar. That's something that we would need to check so that we don't miss it. Because I'd hate to be in that area and miss it because we've got the dates wrong.
So we'll have to Google
the lunar
Google
calendar.
That when we're there.
Yeah, the lunar for the month that we're there.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think we should definitely be on
our
list.
But it's good because most people wouldn't think about checking on the lunar calendar because it is a totally different calendar.
No, and it wasn't until I went obviously a bit deeper in the research that I found that out.
I got a funny feeling at the top of my head, and I might be wrong, and I'd love your comments on this. I believe on the lunar calendar there's 13 months in a year.
Oh, yeah, quite possibly.
I believe that it's in my head. I don't know where it's coming from, this information. I come out with so much rubbish. I think it's every 28 days is a month, and I think there's 13 months in a year on a lunar calendar.
We will find out. If you know,
off my top of my head. Yeah, please do.
Yeah. And then it talks about a food tour in Hanoi. And you can go on a 3-hour food tour for $40. And you can taste foods like little pancakes, fresh papaya salads with beef, big bowl of noodle soup, and perfectly grilled
doesn't that sound
pork.
Lovely?
So, yeah, I think that's quite good, isn't it? To actually be taken to all the good street food places and be with a guide, especially for someone like me with celiac disease, to actually be with somebody who speaks the language and who can converse easily.
And we'll have our interpreter.
We'll have our translator anyway.
We'll have a translator, so you'll be able to translate initially with him.
But I would imagine
instead of worrying about having to do it with each.
No, I know, but I would imagine that he or she will have good English anyway because they are the tour guide.
Yeah.
But rightly so, I would only have to relay my requirements to one person, and then that one person can speak to all of the other street.
And when we've done that before in the past, we have had some exceptional service at times, haven't we? Where like the top chef comes out and everything, and really works with us on stuff like that. And people are so friendly. If only you speak to them and you go out your way to try and get a better experience yourself, you will get one as a rule of thumb.
Oh, yes. I mean, 9 times out of 10, or probably higher than that, 9.9 times out of 10, people are lovely and they really want to help.
Yeah, because especially in England, I think we don't ask enough. we're quite reserved as a nation, as a culture. So that's something I would highly recommend. Is being forward with your requests, politely, obviously, but being forward.
Yeah.
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 So I think that's it for today, is it?
That's it for Vietnam.
Yeah. So if you want to come along on the journey, please subscribe. It all helps, and then we can get out to more and more people. The more people that subscribe, and especially if you comment and like, because the old algorithms, they love all that.
I'm sure you don't want to hear about algorithms. You're not here for that.
No.
But please, we'd love to hear from you.
It would help.
And do subscribe, because it means that we can make more content. And that's what we really want to do.
Yeah. So bye for now, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.